Hello, I'm Julie from Cocoknits, and in this video we're going to dive right in and I'm going to show you how to work short row shaping for bust darts. If you're not familiar with this, you might want to go back and watch the introduction, but if you already know what and why you would use bust darts, you can go and watch the introduction first. I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. This is, again, it's top down, so it's worked a little differently than if you're working bottom up. The good thing about working top down is that you can actually try your knitting on. So this is Emma version C. It's the cardigan. We'll go back and finish these edges, so they're a little raw right now, but that's fine. You're going to knit the whole shoulder area. You're going to complete the seamless yoke, and you're going to get your sleeve stitches off, cast on for the underarm, and then start to try your sweater on. You want to stop when you're at your fullest bust measurement, and that's when we're going to start the bust darts. So get to that point just like it is here, and then we're going to figure out how to do this. What you want to do is run this dart from the side seam up toward the center of your bust. You can get into the math, like I said in the introduction, or you can just try your sweater on, and you kind of want to get a feeling for how far in toward the center you want that line to come, that bust kind of seam to come. So rather than figure out the math, you can just eyeball this or try it on yourself and say, just stick a marker where you don't want the line to come any further than, say, right here. Because you don't really want it to come all the way. You certainly don't want it to come past the center point of your bust. So say, I'll just eyeball it and say, if the dart runs from there to there and angled up, that's fine. So that's how we're going to do it. And we can really just do it on this one side. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. The stitch count's going to be the same. So we get that there. For this little sample I'm going to do, we're not going to worry too much about how many to do, about measuring to figure out how many to do. Again, there's a really good book, Amy Singer's Big Girl Knits. She also has an article on Knitty where you measure down from here to here and then from here over the bust down and figure out exactly how many short rows, how many extra rows you would need here versus here to avoid any gaping at the bust and have it hang evenly at the bottom. We're not going to be that precise. I'm just going to say, if you want to just try this method, if you're around a B or a C cup, you're probably going to want to go back and forth and do maybe 4 to 6 extra rows here than on the side. So I'm going to take this off and we're going to actually start the knitting. All right, so this is how we're going to actually knit these bust darts. We've got our marker. Over here we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 stitches where we want that bust dart to be used up in those 10 stitches. So the way you figure how you're going to do this, we've decided we want 3 sets of short rows. The first short row is going to be turned right here at the first marker. We've got 10 stitches in between, so just divide that in 2. The first one happens at the marker, the second one will happen at 5 stitches, and the last one will happen at the side marker. Right, so now we're going to actually knit these guys. And I use shadow wrap short rows, which I love. And we've got a video for that on the YouTube channel, which you can find at cocoknits.com or the Cocoknits YouTube channel, and see how to actually work a shadow wrap short row. But they're very invisible and they're great to use for bust darts. So we're going to knit over to the marker. I'm actually going to take the marker off, and in the next stitch, before I turn, I'm going to work a shadow wrap short row. Turn and purl back. There's your first pass. And if you were working on a pullover, you'd be purling over to the other marker. You'd do this working on the fronts only, but because I'm doing a cardigan, I'm going to do this set of 3 on this side, and then we'll knit around to the other side and work the set of 3 on the other side. So now we're going to knit to the first shadow wrap short row. And I took the marker out because these short rows are really easy to see. It's easy to see where we turned it because you're going to come up to this stitch that has 2. It's a stitch and it's shadow. So that is number 1 of 5 for our next. We said we're going to go 5 more stitches. So that's where we turned the first one, and now we knit those 2 together, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is where we're going to turn again. Before I turn, I'm going to work a shadow wrap short row, turn, and purl back. Again, we're going to come up to that stitch with its shadow, and you're going to knit this together with its shadow. That's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and before we turn, we're going to work a shadow wrap short row. And now turn and purl back one more time. Okay, now we're going to close this last one. Easy to close, you just knit those 2 together. And there are your bust darts that you can hardly see. You can see them better on the back where there, and there. So there is your wedge of extra rows that are on the front of the sweater and not on the side. They taper back to nothing. So now I'm going to knit all the way around, and we'll do the same thing on the right front. Okay, so I've knitted all the way across, and now I'm going to turn and we're going to start doing the exact same thing. There's my marker. So the 10 stitches to the left of the side marker. That's where we're going to put our short rows. So I'm going to work the exact same thing, but on the purl side. So we're coming up on the marker, and I'm going to remove that marker and work a shadow wrap short row on the wrong side. Again, you can go and watch this on the YouTube channel. Turn and knit back. All right, so we finished the shadow wrap short rows, and you can see on the wrong side where those shadow wraps are, but it's really hard to see them on the right side. But that is your little wedge that tapers to nothing. It's 6 extra rows, and so at a gauge of 4.5 rows per inch, which is what this Emma is, it gives you about an extra 1.5 inches here and tapers to nothing there. So that's good for like a B to C cup. If you have a bigger bust, you can just do more short rows. So we had 10 stitches there. You could do maybe 12 stitches and turn every 4 stitches to get, you know, as many passes as you want. Every time you do one pass, it's 2 extra rows, just to give you an idea. And then if you were going to do this for a pullover, what you would do is I did the left front and then I came around and did the right front. But if you were doing a pullover, what you do is knit over to the marker, do a shadow wrap short row, purl back just to this first marker, shadow wrap short row, knit back to 5 stitches past the first shadow wrap short row, purl back to 5 stitches past, finish, turn, and then you're going in the round again. So that's how you do it for a pullover. All right, so we finished working bust darts on both fronts. And again, if you were working in the round, you would have gone added stitches, you would have worked the entire front back and forth at the same time and then around and around again. We just did 3 passes and used up the stitches that we knew we wanted to use up, 10 stitches in this case. And you can see how now the sweater is pretty much horizontal all the way around the body. It's not being risen, it's not rising up here because of the bust. This is pretty invisible. You might see it a little bit, but this is why I love shadow wrap short rows. They're very easy to work, I think, once you get it down, and they're very invisible. You can see it on the back a little bit. There are your 3 passes, but they don't really show on the front. And you've got a nice even hang on this all the way around, and a little more ease if you have a problem with gapping, and a little more ease if you have a problem with a sweater riding up. So that will take care of it. Hope that that was helpful. And if you want to, like I say, if you want to delve into it deeper with more math, you can. I'm just showing you how if you just do 3 passes, that will just even that little bit will make a big difference. So I hope that that is helpful, and I hope you enjoy using the shadow wrap short rows.